Well, thank you, Kevin. Welcome everybody as well. Kevin is one of my twin boys. If you look on the bottom of that screen there, you'll see Kevin and Mike and my grandson, Mac. And proud to say we're going to be a third generation roofing company. And basically the history of our company is grew up in Long Island. I worked up on the roof in high school and college, graduated in 1979, opened a branch of a roofing company in Atlanta, Georgia, was moved down here in 1982. 1983, I borrowed $15,000 from my dad, bought a pickup truck, and just built it on doing what we say we're going to do, doing quality work, no real sales, just referral business. And today we're 7 branches, 5 of them we own, and we have 570 employees, but we're still a large, small family-owned business. What makes us advanced is everything we do, whether it's our repairs, HVAC, lightning protection, solar, have electrical division now, our statewide coverage. We started Roof Connect many years ago, so we have a premier 60 companies across the nation that we can rely on in case of hurricanes, which we're going to be talking a lot about today. And we also provide our own crane service, or roll-off, so it allows us to really control any project, and we mainly do re-roofing and repairs of occupied buildings. And today you're going to learn about what the hurricane season predictions are, some facts that are very interesting. I've been through many of these, property insurance in the Florida code, what you do to get prepared for a hurricane, and our technology, Kevin alluded to, we're going to hit on it a little bit, but next week is going to be very, very good. And then the key takeaways. So we're going to take a poll, just get everybody warmed up. Name that hurricane. And there's a little hint there of the year and the date. I'll give you about 20 seconds. All right. Well, looks like 96% got it right. Hurricane Andrew. I'll never forget that. That thing was a tightly wound, total hard-hitting hurricane. I always go up in a helicopter as fast as I can get up that the FAA will allow us to fly, and I flew over that. I was totally amazed how that just went through Homestead and that whole area. And it's really important too, not only the hurricanes, the microburst. They're little tornadoes within a hurricane. There were houses that were completely destroyed, and the one next to it really had very little damage. So we're going to talk a little bit about microburst. It's not only the strength of a hurricane, but it's the microburst, which is a small tornado within that that's very dangerous as well. We're going to show you a job that we had just finished at Cutler Ridge Mall, the Sears. It's pictures on the right. I'm going to show you a quick video of the Channel 7 Skycam flying over this whole shopping center. As you can see, the damage was unbelievable, you know, just hurricane. And we're lucky to say that our Sears roof stayed on. The whole roof, we lost a little bit of metal coping cap, but that store stayed on, and it was a concrete deck. In full disclosure, that concrete decks are better than metal. A lot of the damage you see is metal decks, but we also built a very good roof to withstand that unbelievable hurricane. So we're proud of that. We actually took a full page ad out of the Miami Herald to toot our own horn, and we still have that little full page ad around somewhere. And so this hurricane season facts runs from June 1st, which is next week, to November 30th. And we already know we're on our second little tropical depression. And the 40% of the hurricanes that occur in the U.S. hit Florida. And I was really surprised to see this fact that in the last 170 years, 18 of those hurricanes passed through without impacting Florida, passed without a known storm impacting. So it impacted Florida 170 times since, 18 times since in 170 years. And the cumulative impact of storms had hit over 216 billion in damages. And the peak season is August and September. That's when they really get cranked up. And towards the end, they actually come a little quicker. You know, we always watch them come off the coast of Africa, but sometimes they grow right in the Gulf and they come and hit us. So anyway, back to the predictions for the 2020 season. They're talking about 14 to 18 storms, 7 to 9 hurricanes, and then major 2 to 4, and U.S. impacts 2 to 4. So that's above average hurricane season. And the last thing anybody wants right now is a hurricane, especially after what we're going through with this pandemic thing going on. So we're praying that we don't get one, and if we do, we're going to have to get ready. And how is that measured? It's a combination of things that they use to predict hurricane storms. It's the strength, the number of reaching hurricane strength, and the ACE index. The ACE index is called the Accumulated Cyclone Energy Index. It's a wind index defined as the sum of the square of the all the storms' surface wind speeds measured every 6 hours for the named storm. So it's a little complicated. They got NOAA, they got all these predictors of hurricanes, and you can go to the Weather Channel, or we use Wonderground. Wonderground's a great hurricane tracking thing. You got the medium, then you have like 8 or 10 different models. We strongly use that. We use all the models. We have to get ready for storms by removing material from the jobs and doing all the prep work in case one hits us. This is another poll. Which side of the hurricane is considered the most dangerous? And a couple more seconds, everybody. The right side, that is the strongest part of the hurricane. That is correct. And, you know, we saw in Doreen how that whacked certain parts of the Abacos and Freeport, and that was the strongest side. So as you can see from the little behind Jim Cantori, and actually Jim, I know, and I tried to get him to do this slide, but unfortunately he had another commitment. But he's very knowledgeable. If something goes on, he's always down in South Florida asking me for help on something. Now, this is the wall of wind, and this is something that we helped get money. We got $100,000 from the National Roofing Contractors Association. It's where they can actually test with real life wind conditions, and they have a turntable so you can get 360 degrees of wind, not just one area, or not just using the existing, whereas it's a negative pressure. And that's the Dade County test now at 12 by 24, negative pressure to get the uplift, and then they extrapolate from there. And I think we have a video on that. No video.
Engineer Arindam Chaudhary and his team at Florida International University and the International Hurricane Research Center designed this 15-foot tall wall of wind, nicknamed WOW.
I'm going to go up now to 60 miles an hour.
The goal is to see if low-rise structures and building materials can withstand the same wind forces they'd face in a full-blown hurricane.
We did testing on rooftop equipment, and we looked at the loads, and based on the results, we sent recommendations to the Florida Building Code, and those recommendations are now in the Florida Building Code.
Manufacturers work with Chaudhary to test the durability of new products. For example, they want to see if this solar panel will stand up to hurricane-force winds. Sensors measure the pressure on the panel as the wind starts to blow.
We want to make sure everything stays within the frame, that the whole unit stays on the racking itself.
What wind speed?
It's about 120.
Can we flip it around though?
A rotating turntable exposes all sides to headwinds.
Now we can see effects from different angles of the wind and get the data for all the directions.
I don't think we're going to see any damage to the panel based on what I saw. It's great fun. You couldn't get this in any other type of testing.
Next up, some roof tiles and adhesive foam.
It's solid as a rock the way it's installed. That foam really works with this good tile.
Will they withstand WOW's forces?
Right now we're testing 122 miles per hour.
The Tiles and foam pass with flying colors. Building itself, not so much. Chaudhary says such foundation failures are rare, but lessons learned here could save lives, helping us better prepare for that next big storm.
Yeah, so I was down there testing. I'm an angel investor in a solar panel that makes hot water and electricity at the same time. We're just getting commercialized now with that. So I was testing that, and they were testing the tiles. And unfortunately, as in construction, they didn't have the proper washers. And they said, let's just test it anyway. So I was literally outside the wall of wind watching that building go by me when they were testing. So it was a lesson learned for everybody. They should have just waited to get the right materials. But the house, I felt sorry for the tile guys because they had a really good system and they never got up to full speed. But a little inside story there. And now I got one more. Name that hurricane. All right, let's see who gets that right. Yeah, 64%. That was Wilma. If you recall, that thing was supposed to be a Cat 1 storm coming over the West Coast. It was right after Katrina. So, you know, everybody was up there doing work in Katrina and they had all the flooding and everything. This thing comes up out of nowhere, Cat 1. Everybody's it's no big deal. It came across as a Cat 3. And then went up the coast and it did more damage, and because it was slow and very sustained winds. And that's, you're going to hear a little bit more from Shirad about how that affects the pressure and the damage that gets caused by hurricanes.
Thank you. Morning, and thank you for participating in this webinar. My name is Shirad Ali. I'm the Vice President of Operations and also the Senior Roofing, Testing, and Codes Consultant at Atlantic and Caribbean Roof Consulting. Atlantic and Caribbean Roof Consulting is a Miami-Dade certified test lab specializing in roof testing. We are also a State of Florida certified test lab, a State of Florida certified engineering company, certified roof consultants by the Institute of Building Enclosure Consultant, formerly RCI, now IIDEC. The intent of the Florida Building Code is to protect public health, safety, and general welfare as they relate to the construction and occupancy of buildings and structure. Of extreme importance to note, the initial design and construction decision determine operational and maintenance costs for the life of the building. Our present building code, the Florida Building Code 2017 edition, consists of a series of protocols with the acronym RAS, Roofing Application Standards, and TAS, Testing Application Standard, that set system requirement for roof uplift pressure design. Other testing bodies and public code agency also form part of the Florida Building Code. Miami-Dade County, Factory Mutual Global, FM Global, UL, Underwriters Laboratory, ICC, International Code Council, and the IBC, International Building Code. To give you a little explanation or breakdown on each testing body and their responsibility, Miami-Dade County Test Protocol for High Velocity Hurricane Zone is a public code body. Miami-Dade County requires within their jurisdiction building design to 180 miles per hour wind velocity. And as we move northwards into Broward and other counties, the design wind speed drops to 175 miles per hour. Factory Mutual Global is an insurance company that has set their own standards and their own building codes for securing buildings that are insured by their entity. Their standards are accepted by Miami-Dade County and other testing bodies because of their stringent testing procedures and guidelines. The ICC, which is the International Code Council, is a very strong organization. It's a nonprofit organization that performs evaluation services, product evaluation, accreditation, and certification. They ensure quality control, ensure that quality control is strictly met. They provide accreditation and certification for manufacturers and test labs throughout the country. Underwriters Laboratory is a testing body that provides fire classification for building material and building components. All roof system has to be tested for fire classification based on slope requirement and physical properties of material. The International Building Code, the IBC, is an international building code, was developed by the ICC and adopted as a base code standard by most jurisdictions in the United States, with the exception of Miami-Dade County. Next slide. ASCE 7. ASCE 710 is the present code presently, and ASCE 716 will be adopted in December of 2020. The acronym ASCE is the American Society of Civil Engineers. The ASCE represents approximately, without exaggeration, 150,000 engineers in 77 countries. This is the strength of this organization. ASCE is responsible for our wind maps, and they chart wind speed throughout the United States. They also provide the formulas for calculating wind uplift design pressures using the following building information. The height of the building, very critical part of the calculation for determining the design wind pressures. The location of the building, whether it's coastal, inland, the surface roughness of the topography and the exposure, the enclosure category or the enclosure class, whether it's an open building, whether it's a closed building, or whether it's partially open or closed. There's a risk category that is factored into it. Risk category 1, 2, 3, or 4. The region is taken into consideration, whether it falls into the high velocity hurricane zone or the non-high velocity hurricane zone. The wind velocity, which again is determined by ASCE, the wind map, and also the importance factor of the building, whether it's a school, hospital, shelters, and other critical facilities. All these factors yield uplift or negative pressure design for a specific building. These are all built into the formulas that are designed by ASCE and are used by all design professionals for determining the design pressures of a building. Testing standard for determining roof system uplift rating. Factory Mutual 4470 is one standard, and the other standard that is used throughout Florida is the Miami-Dade County, which is also a testing standard organization. And the acronym for their testing standard is TAS 114-95, which forms part of the test protocols for the high velocity hurricane zone. Breaking this down into simpler terms, your roof has 3 zones. You have the field, the perimeter, and the corner zone of your roof. Roofs with parapet walls above 3 feet high, which was determined by ASCE, tends to resist more wind damages to the building because of the height of the parapet wall and the fact that the parapet wall prevents the creation of a vortex along the edge of the building. The ASCE manual provides formulas for calculation of enhanced pressure zones, which would be your perimeter and your corner zones of the roof area. How this testing is done, each pressure is actually held for 1 minute. in increments of 15 pounds per square foot. And after these pressures are held for 1 minute, you go to the other pressure, hold it for another minute, and you continue on the process in the chamber. The chamber has vacuum pumps that actually simulates suction into the chamber. And after explosion of the roof system in the building, it is then determined what was the mode of failure at that point. The roof system is then prepared in a report format, submitted to the state for approval, and your design pressures for that particular roof system is listed on the approving document, which is used for specification and design professionals in designing roof systems. Some of the mode of failures that is going to be identified would be membrane separation from the substrate, insulation facer delamination, broken insulation board. For mechanically attached membranes, you will have fastener pull out from the decks, you will have fastener pull over on the membrane, and you will have membrane ruptures. High performance roof system are being developed on a daily basis based on the high wind events that we have experienced in the last 20, 25 years, starting from Hurricane Andrew. And these systems on a daily basis are being researched and developed by all the major manufacturers in order to capture the high winds that create damages to our roof system. We have new enhanced components that are being developed on a daily basis. For example, we have gypsum coverboard that provides additional stability and strength. Example of those would be Dense Deck, Secure Rock, and Superboard. We have enhanced fastening patterns or means of attachment of the roof system to the substrate would be polyurethane foam adhesive. We have the Rhino Bond system, which is a system where we avoid point loading attachment to the structural decks rather than with the Rhino Bond system, we apply more uniform loading, which reduces the stress on the substrate or on the deck system of the building. Structurally enhanced decking system, compressed joist and support spacing, re-secured deck to structure connections, which is one of the strong requirements of factory Mutual Global, where they would recommend on insured building, on uninsured building, that this substrate or the deck system be reattached or enhanced to the structural components of the building in an effort to maintain high uplift pressures on the building. Enhanced material and reinforcing. We have the KEE membrane, single ply membranes. And what is KEE? KEE single ply membrane, it's a ketone ethylene ester. It's a high molecular weight polymer with elastomeric properties, gives it a lot of flexibility and reinforcement and strength. We have our regular polyvinyl chloride single ply membrane, which has been reformulated over the years, adding additional physical properties and additional puncture resistance to the membrane. Modified bitumen membrane, which historically has been in the market for well over 30 years, which is a multiply system and has proven to meet very high wind uplift capabilities when tested in the lab and when exposed to high event winds during hurricanes. Of utmost importance, after reviewing and absorbing all the information regarding our roof system, post-hurricane testing is extremely important, as well as pre-hurricane testing. I would like to add to this presentation that Although after a hurricane or high wind event, the roof may not show visual signs of rupture or visual signs of delamination, it occurs, and testing and detailed inspection should be performed after a high wind event or hurricane to confirm that the roof system maintains the original integrity of attachment. Many times after hurricane events and high wind events, inspections of the roof confirms that during the high wind events, rupture within the system occurred, resulting in delamination or deattachment of the roof system. So in conclusion, the following are ingredients for a perfect roof: ASCE 7 guidelines, NCFM 4470 tested roof system, warranty coverage, knowledge, understanding what is covered on your roof by the manufacturer under the warranty guideline, and the selection of high performance component system for your building based on the risk category, based on the importance factor, based on the contents of your building. You need the right chief, the right ingredients. With the wrong chief is a recipe for disaster, and that has been evident throughout the lifetime of hurricanes that occurred within our state of Florida. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Rob. Really quick, I'm Julian Olarte. I'm the service branch manager for advanced roofing for the Dade County and the Keys. And I just want to go really briefly about how preventive maintenance and performing inspections on your roof can help you prevent huge damage when a hurricane hits. So basically, our recommendations would be take as much videos or photos to document the existing condition of your roof. Make sure that any item on the roof that can become loose, like HVAC units, intake, exhaust fans, solar panels, satellite dishes, gutters and downspouts, make sure that they are properly secured. Protect your skylights either with metal cover cups or with plywood. Make sure that any drainage point, like internal drains, gutter downspouts, scoopers, or through-wall scoopers are free of debris, so water can run off the roof easier. Clean any item that can become loose again. Check the edges of the roof. All the metal edges have to be secure, especially as Shirad was saying, these are the areas that would suffer the highest wind pressure, the perimeter and corners. So make sure that they are tight and they are intact. Any lighting protection, if you have any, make sure that all the rods are properly attached to the roof. You don't want all those rods running and creating punctures on your roof. Make sure that your hatch is functional. And if you want to go the extra mile, you can perform a uplift test or a moisture survey, so you have proof, documented proof that the hurricane caused any damage to your roof. Next one. Now I'm going to introduce Jean with Furman Insurance. He will give us a little tips about how to handle your insurance if that happens.
Hello, thank you for having us to your presentation. We appreciate it. I'll go quickly because I know we're behind schedule. You want to make sure that your policy is in good shape, that it's active, that you have replacement cost coverage as opposed to actual cash value, that your co-insurance percentages are in line. And I know people are going to have questions about it, and we can answer those later. The co-insurance is a big factor that people don't understand. It actually is a little penalty if you don't have your building insured to the proper amount. Replacement cost, we know what that is. If you have ACV, actual cash value, then you're going to suffer depreciation in the loss. They're going to give you old for old, not new for new. The wind deductibles, those are actually on most policies, there's a separate wind deductible and then a separate named storm deductible. The named storm deductible might be 3, 5, or 10% on commercial buildings. Condos, we were able to get 2, but that's kind of disappeared now. They've premiumed that out. But that 2, 3, 5, or 10% will apply to a named storm only. Okay, you can do that on a calendar year basis, which is the best, or an occurrence basis. The calendar year basis means that you only suffer that one time per season. So if you have a policy that renews in August, you could have a hurricane in August, one in September. If you have it on an occurrence basis, that deductible that you chose to take is going to apply to each and every storm, whereas a calendar year, you only suffer that one time. Impact compliant is very good, along with having the roof Florida Building Code compliant. You want to make sure the windows to protect the envelope, like Mr. Ali was talking about, to protect that. You want the impact windows and doors. Once you do that, along with the roof being to the proper code, it is you get your premium as low as you can with the most credits. The business income with extra expense is very important to have on if you're a building owner. That's going to protect your loss of rents. The extra expense is needed by the tenants. If you're a contractor, you rent your space, and the building becomes damaged, the extra expense will pay for your expense to relocate to another building that's not damaged. Of course, the business income will protect the loss of rents if you're the owner of it. The ordinance of law coverage, again, is important to the owner. That comes in 3 parts. A is going to pay, coverage A of ordinance is going to pay for that part of the building that has to be demolished because a certain percentage of the building was damaged, but the other wasn't. The normal policy won't pay for the part of the building that was not damaged. If you have full coverage A on ordinance, that will pick that up. Part B of that is debris removal. That'll give you additional debris removal costs because the basic fire policy or property policy is very limited on that. And then C, A, B, and C, C is the increased cost of construction. You'll go to rebuild it and you'll all of a sudden have to have impact windows. You'll have to have higher toilets, wider doors. You'll have to redo the roof to the current code. Those are the things that ordinance of law picks up on the policies. And the way, one additional way, and I'm going to let Jane Lully speak here. She's our adjuster on these last 3 items, but the annual roofing contractor inspection contract is one of the most important things you can have because that keeps the roof in top-notch shape. And when you have that, that gives you the most credits that you can receive. You might not have a new roof, but if you've got an annual inspection, we know the roofs are being repaired properly. So that's very important to do for your property managers. Now, 7, 8, and 9 here. Jane, I'll let you talk about the...
Hi, everybody. I'm Jane Lully. I'm a coverage, claims, and property damage expert. I'm a licensed insurance adjuster in all lines by the state of Florida. And many of you have probably heard the phrase 25% rule. What that means, that's part of the Florida Building Code. And if a roof section, which is either a different level of a roof or a different roofing material, not necessarily a different slope. If a section of the roof is damaged 25% or more, then the area needs to be replaced and not repaired. What that means is if there's a covered peril such as lightning, winds, a tree falling on it, the insurance carrier has to comply with that 25% rule. And if that portion is 25% or more damaged, then the insurance company must actually pay for the replacement and not just for a repair. However, if at the time it is less than 25% and a repair is made and there's a catch, and in the next 12 months it's determined that that area needs to be replaced, the insurance company must comply with the replacement. With regard to anything to protect from further damage once there is a compromised roof, insurance policies allow for temporary repairs. So call in a roofer, call in a restoration company, get tarping on there, do whatever it takes to protect the property from further damage. Another thing is very important. If you have any type of drone person that's on your staff, and you could take video of the damaged areas by drone. It's very important to take pictures. A picture is worth 1,000 words, just as it says on your slide. Take pictures of all of the damage, take video footage of the damage, because many times when there's a catastrophe, an adjuster is not going to be able to get out to the site for, it could be as long as 21 days, as we saw from Charlie, Francis, Jean, Ivan, and Wilma. So I would say do whatever it takes to do your temporary repairs and get all of the pictures taken, save all of the receipts for the temporary repairs, and be prepared to give all of that information to the adjuster once they're able to meet with you and speak with you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Jean, that was great information. I appreciate it. Julian, I'm going to switch it back to you.
Okay. So going back with the inspection part, very important, inspect your exterior walls, make sure that they are watertight. We don't want any penetration in the wall, creating wind-driven rain can go in on the interior. Any joint on the walls have to be secured. Check the edges again, as I was mentioning, due to the higher pressures on those sections. Expansion joints, very important. HVAC attachment, make sure that they are properly secured. Last Hurricane Irma, we saw a tremendous amount of damage on single-ply roofs due to HVAC units flying all over the roof and creating several punctures that end up on a re-roofing recently installed roof. Penetrations, make sure that the drains are free of debris, that they have their basket, so no debris can clog those drains. So basically, inspect, perform maintenance. When it's a good time to do it, right now it's a good time, not only before rainy season, that actually it's already here, but before hurricane season, there is a lot of benefits by doing very minor things, and it could save you a lot of money there. Next one. Some pictures here of clogged drains, drain problems. All the drainage points are the ones that are going to suffer the most to the amount of water that they are going to get. So make sure that they are tight. Debris can cause a lot of damage if not removed. The wall flashings, make sure that they are properly waterproofed and secure. And any penetrations of the roof, pitch pans, make sure that they are filled so they don't have any standing water there, and trying to go through the weakest part, point of the roof, which are the penetrations. So small items that could do a huge benefit on your roof. Now I'm going to give the word to Paul. Paul is our HVAC service manager.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to do a quick talk about AC units and the way they're tied down. We have a couple different systems that we use. One is the cable tie down system. With that, you're going to want to make sure that the cables are tight and the fasteners that are going into the support structure are tight as well. You don't want to look for any rusted or cut cables and get those replaced. You have a strap down system. You can see it in the picture below. Those metal straps can also be cut also when the service technician is coming to service a unit, because usually you have to remove the top of the unit, so those straps will have to be cut. So you want to make sure you check those, make sure the straps are on if you have that type of system. Then we have the clip tie down system, which these small clips that go on each corner. You want at least one per corner. You want 3 screws into the unit and 2 in down into the support structure. Again, also make sure that the screws are there, not missing, and make sure the clips are not rusted or the fasteners are not rusted. And then for your package units that are on curbs or exhaust fans, I just want to make sure that, again, you have all your fasteners. A good rule is a fastener for every 6 inches on center, and just replace any fasteners that are missing. Other things that you can look out for are just making sure that your actual stands are all together, your units aren't completely rusted. Have your whatever contractor you use, HVAC contractor, have them make sure that he's replacing all the screws that are missing on any panels. Like Julian said, one of the biggest thing is a panel coming off of a unit and just rolling down a roof and puncturing the roof. That happens very often when we do this, when we do have a hurricane. So those are the things to look out for on HVAC. Clint is going to be speaking to solar.
Sorry about that. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate everybody joining us today. I'm going to talk a little bit about things that we look for pre and post hurricane event on our solar arrays. A big part of this is just getting eyes on everything that's up there. We really want to take a look at the system, get a visual inspection of the inverters, check our communication statuses, and make sure that the system is in operational status now. That way we have a reference point for after the event does pass. We really want to take a lot of time to inspect our enclosures. Often with solar systems, we have electronics in these enclosures mounted on top of the roof. We want to look for proper seals in all of our cabinets. We want to look at the locking hardware to ensure that the doors are able to stay locked and maintain their closed position in the event of these high wind speed events if you do have this outdoor electrical gear. We want to measure our torque settings on our connections and make sure that nothing's moved. A good contractor, like the bottom picture towards the bottom left, we mark all of our connections after they've been torqued to the settings. These are mechanical connections in the structure, also the electrical connections. We want to make sure that nothing's moved from its required torque settings through either natural temperature swings or maybe a service tech was up there and did something that wasn't supposed to properly happen. We want to look to make sure that these things are in the engineered design state that they were left or meant to be put into when they were built. That way they have they're in the position that they can weather the storm and the wind speeds that they were designed to be subjected to. We also just want to inspect for damages, look for our labels, make sure all of our warning signs are in place. A big portion of what we design to is NEC code, and that's a life safety code. So if you have labels on your electrical equipment that can't be read, in the event that there is some sort of event that takes out inverters or takes out equipment, it can be very dangerous if the first responders can't see what's on those labels. They're there for a reason. So we want to look for these things and make sure we're prepared for a storm. Moving post-storm, we're really looking for the same type of things. We want to make sure that water hasn't entered these enclosures. We don't have water going into or had entered a conduit and ultimately got to the building. We want to check our fans on our inverters to make sure debris hasn't come into any of the filters and not allowing them to properly ventilate themselves. Once again, go through our connections, spot check our torque marks to make sure that the vibrations that come with some of these heavy wind events haven't worked those nuts loose from their specified torque values. We're also bringing technology into solar inspections. One of the pictures in the bottom is a thermal image. We recently launched our own drone program where we're rolling out thermal images of not just roofs for water infiltration, but also for solar panels, for fractured cells. Every spot that you see there that's a hotter spot than others has some sort of fracture, whether it was from an impact or excessive wind loads, improper installation. Those fractures lead to, electrical resistance. The electrons aren't able to flow, so it gets hotter. That could be fire, loss of energy. So we also could recommend maybe looking at that thermal scan as well as something that we do. With that, I'm going to turn it back over to the rest of the team.
Thanks, Clint. Very quick, it's very important, have a roof file. A good roof file would have any roof drawing, any all the information of the system you have installed, in progress pictures, documentation between you and the contractor, any warranty, any inspection progress reports, make sure that the permits are finalized, and after the fact, then make sure that you have maintenance, proper maintenance documented and performed by an approved contractor. Keep records of any repair that you've done, keep records of when you service your units, and very important as well, keep a roof log so you know who has been on your roof, so you have some sort of accountability. Next week, we will go out about advanced access, web's cloud system that would assist you with creating a good file for the roof. And during hurricane, most important things, do not go outside, take shelter, preferable in a space that doesn't have any windows, monitor the news if you have access to TV, by TV, if not by radio, and conduct internal inspection of how your building is performing, if that is possible. After the hurricane, very important, take lots of caution. You will see down lines, you will see severe damage to your structure. Do not attempt to do any repair yourself, hire a qualified contractor to do so, even if it's to do a temporary repair and then come back and do a permanent repair. Contact your insurance company once you have documented with pictures. As Furman Insurance was saying, document as much as possible any damage done, and then contact your insurance company. Do not go or contract any unknown or out-of-state contractors. If you're lucky enough that they finish the work, most likely if there is any issue, you won't be able to find them. So hire a qualified contractor to do any repair, and search for any gas leakage, any contaminated water, any accident on the road. So be very cautious when you go out. And lastly, we would highly advise that this is the right time to perform your inspection. Again, this will be perfect time, and it will save you lots of headaches and money put on your roof. Thank you. I'm going to give the word to Rob. He's going to do some key takeaways about the presentation.
Yeah, so as you can see from this photo, like that's all the hurricanes in the history of 170 years of hurricanes. And as I stated earlier, there's only 18 that not do any damage. So that's a lot going through. So what does that mean to your warranty? What are types of warranties that come with commercial roofing? Well, let's start with the basic material manufacturer. That says if our material fails, we'll take care of it. You can get them 10, 20, 30 years. But trying to get a manufacturer to admit their material failed, very slim chance. I've had it absolutely problems with that warranty. Next one is a material and labor warranty. A lot of contractors say, I'll give you a 20-year labor and material. And that's great too, but then again, it protects the manufacturer and it doesn't cover the no dollar limit. So they limit their exposure to whatever the dollar amount you paid at the time it was installed. The best is the no dollar limit, and you can get these up to 30 years, and it stands for no dollar limit, NDL, and it covers labor and material at the time of when the roof needs to be replaced if it is a material problem. Now, again, mind you, all these warranties are written to protect the manufacturer. It's not you, and they have limitations in them, as we stated earlier. Anything over gale force wind is not covered. So you really want to look at a manufacturer and get one that will write a wind rider for your areas. And contractor's warranty, generally there are 2 years. That's the standard in new construction, everything. Sometimes we'll go 5 years. But again, when you hire a contractor, it's really about how long they've been in business, their financial capability, and most importantly, previous clients that we have, such as Publix and many others. I guess I'm just going to close out with everything. I know there was a lot of information. We recorded this, and there was a question about the warranties and the wind speed. That is in the printed warranty that you have. If there's any questions, just fax it over. We could have one of our professionals take a look at that. Another thing that I would say that's important is post damage assessments. Anyway, post-assessment is very important. Even if you look at your roof and it looks okay, the pressure from the hurricane, especially if it's sustained over a period of time like Doreen, it can actually put pressure on there and break the bond between the substrate or the insulation and the membrane, and you don't know it until something else happens. So there's wind uplift testing that Shirad's company does that you can do it, and if there is a claim, it's pretty easy to document and get your insurance company to cover it. We've helped a lot of clients with that, even though it didn't blow off, but it's always good to get that done after a hurricane. So with that said, I believe we're gonna kind of close it out. We're available for everybody. We know a lot of people in the line, some are new, but we welcome any questions or phone calls afterwards. And if you want a copy of this, we can get that to you. So again, thank you. I'd like to end on time. So enjoy the rest of your day and look forward to a sunny weekend, hopefully. Have a good one.